Harris County Precinct 1, and today this is an 8-month investigation that culminated into the arrest of Javon Major and Sandy Broussard. And investigation was initially prompted to us by the Texas Funeral Commission Service, and we worked it in conjunction with the Texas Rangers of DPS. And this is a case that absolutely turns my stomach. It turns my stomach because you're dealing with people at the most vulnerable time of their lives, after they've lost somebody that they loved and cared for. And for me, that's what makes this case so important. The victims, the families behind me, are people that were taken advantage of, they were manipulated, and they were completely snowballed, and fraud was committed against them. In this case, Javon Major would say he's a funeral director. He would say he was an embalmer. And these families would reach out, or he would reach out to them and get their confidence, get their buy-in, and he would get them to give them money. He would ask them for insurance policies, all to defraud them. So the way he would do it is he would get online and he would see that somebody died. And he would reach out to the family and say, I was friends with the deceased. I knew him, when he didn't know him. And he would get the confidence of these people behind me and convince them to give them insurance policies, to which he would forge documents and take the insurance money from them. In many instances, people were supposed to get ashes of their loved one. And to this day, some don't know if they've got their actual loved one's ashes. Funerals were supposed to take place, and there would be no funeral. Embalming was supposed to take place, and this is hard to talk about. Embalming was supposed to take place on some of these family members, and it didn't happen. And so there is a long list. Since this case has broke, we have had 50 people contact us, giving us additional suspects that we're going to be looking at potentially. So this is going to be an ongoing investigation. It's by no means shut. It's just truly sad to me that you have people in the most vulnerable times of their lives be taken advantage of by somebody like this. And so we have to put a stop to it. We did put a stop to it. I'm proud of the work that our investigators did to bring Javon Major and Sandy Broussard to justice. And we're going to hear from some of the victims whose family members were stolen from. There was a $26,000 insurance policy that he changed the name on after he got the confidence of I'm going to call them victims, because that's what they are. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ernest, who was a first victim who had an insurance policy that was forged against him. Ernest?
Yes. Just tell us how it got started, Ernest.
Yes. Let's see your name.
My name is Ernest Satchel Aquanican, and my sister's name is Deidre Satchel Greenleaf. And my first cousin name is James Chuck Abram. And Mr. Majors took advantage of our family. And actually, he's related to me. And the hurting part about it is, when a family is grieving, at their lowest point, this individual had the nerve to take advantage of us. You know, things that we signed contracts stating what we were going to pay this man, yet he forged my future brother-in-law signature, who was a city councilor, and stole all the money from my family. And it's just a hurting thing. You know, it's kind of difficult to even talk about, because it's just a time when people are actually at their worst, you know, losing a loved one. And you have individuals that has no remorse for human life, or individuals for themselves for that most. And I'm just saying, I'm just hurt. Just difficult to talk about.
Can you tell us how did you try to get your money back, and how was it trying to work on that?
Well, We did get the insurance policy back because Funeral Express, with the help of Chris Haran, matter of fact, I want to give utmost respect to this man. He said what he was going to do, and he actually did this. So we was actually able to get it back from the funeral service, who Mr. Major, he would take your policy and send it to this company called Funeral Express, and what they're like a finance company, and they would give him the money for a small price before the funeral service even take place. So he was able to do that. But with the help of Mr. Investigator Haran, we was able to get the money back from the Funeral Express, and it came back to the family. So I'm very thankful for that. That was one of the positive outlooks. But still, my cousin today, a year later, she's never had received a death certificate. The names were wrong on my sister's death certificate. We sit down with this man and told him the names and spelled it out for him. But still, we have no death certificate and no ashes.
Pam?
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys want to talk to them later and get more information, feel free to.
Brittany, yeah.
Or Brittany, yes.
Hi everyone.
Your name, please?
My name is Brittany Hall. We were recently scammed this weekend. We laid my dad to rest. So our family were already dealing with his passing because it was unexpected. He found me on social media. He stated that he can do the church for us and he can do the venue with decorations and everything. So thank God we didn't go through him for the funeral. We went through eternal rest. The day of the funeral home literally was at the church, and he was not there. He was supposed to pay. I had tried to contact him the day before. He started not answering the phone. He kept saying, okay, I'm going to meet you, and then he just went ghost. So my auntie called him the day of the funeral. He said, yes, ma'am, I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. The day of the funeral, completely gone. Nowhere to be found. So we had to double pay the church. We paid him as well as pay the church. Now my issue is with this funeral home. I don't know if he's doing it on accident or purposely, but he's putting Family Care Mortuary on these invoices with his signature. So someone has to be responsible. It's not only him doing this work. So someone has to come up and be like, we're grieving. How can y'all even let this man get away with this? Y'all know they know what he's doing. Trust me, because we have contacted that funeral home, and she knows what's going on. So honestly, I just hope justice is served. Our story is not even clear. It's not even close to what other people are speaking about. Someone reached out to me today. He gave her the wrong ashes. The way she knew he gave her the wrong ashes is because the morgue found her boyfriend's body, and that was the body that was supposed to get the ashes. So she's been living with someone's ashes for months that she thought was her loved one. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So please, if we can just get justice served, please.
Yes, thank you.
Can you give your name, please?
Yes.
My name is Pamela Bubbs, and my son is Clifford Bogan. We came in contact with Mr. May. He told me his name was Major Johnson. When we came in contact with him the day of my son's funeral, we had to beg him at like 3 a.m. in the morning. He cut his phone off. We had to beg him to see my son, and how we saw him was on FaceTime. That is ridiculous to see your loved one on FaceTime the day of the funeral. He came an hour and a half late to my son's funeral, threw my son inside the church, jumped in the truck, ran back out the truck, came back with the obituary. At 12:30 was his funeral. That is ridiculous. And after he did that, my son was smooshed down in the casket with all his family members, with his staff from Family Care Mortuary. Ms. Brown is the owner of Family Care Mortuary. She was there. I do not know where he had my son at the whole time of where he had his body. His body was warm. It was not cold. They say he leaves the body in the garages, in the houses, abandoned homes. This is ridiculous. Somebody out there know where he leaves these bodies at. There's no way in the world that you can bring somebody's body to their services. They cold or they smelling. Someone knows something. Someone has to come forward, because Family Care Mortuary, Sandy Broussard, Puerto Rican Princess, whoever her name is, all these people know. Everybody knows that he's not a funeral home director. The whole neighborhood, everybody knows he leases truck. He coming and he'll give you a phony piece of paper. Miss Brown know everything. I met her on FaceTime. Their funeral home is 2.5 hours away from Houston, so they scam you till you get a church because you can't go to the funeral home. You ask why you can't go to the funeral home. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you, mama. That's his favorite word. We're going to take care of you, mama. Please come together. All you victims out there, come together. Let's get him and get the whole surrounding of people that knew that this man did not have a license to do these funerals.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Just give us your name, please.
Coriana.
Okay. Your last name, if you don't mind.
Oh,
That's all right,
Johnson.
don't worry. Okay.
Coriana Johnson.
Just tell us a little bit about what happened to you.
Okay, so he was referred to us through somebody whom my sister know. And he had promised us so many things that he was going to do for free. He set a price of $14,000. Once he seen the policy was $20,000, he fraudulently signed my dad's name and maxed out the policy. After he did that, he also filled out a crimes victim form to get another additional $6,500, stating that we couldn't pay for the funeral. So that money is being deposited to Family Care Mortuary instead of being to the family who is the victim. When I asked him, I just feel like he took my moment with my brother. I asked him, can I do my brother's hair? He did not let me do his hair because we didn't even know what his body was. Everything that he said was going to be done was never done. And like Pam said, whatever the bodies is not in the morgue. The bodies are too warm. My brother looked like he had dirt on his face, like he was already buried and then pulled back out the ground. We didn't get the proper, nothing that we asked for that we needed. So I just feel like he took my moment, and I feel like justice just needs to be served. He needs to be stopped. Scamming and everything else that he's doing, it's just too many people, and it just hurt. Now I just want to grieve properly.
Why is he so successful in what he does? Is just
Because the way that he talk, he trying to present himself as a funeral director. So when he's approaching you, he got a suit on. He looking real nice. He this my business card. He got it all planned out just like a scammer does. It's like you getting a scam call and you just believing it because it sound good. He's pulling out a form. He actually pulling out a booklet. Okay, this is that, and this is what we can do. But everybody that he's going through, this is third-party people. This is not people affiliated with the funeral home. So he's calling people we need to borrow your car for this funeral. We need to borrow these sprinters, or we need to borrow this, or we need you to make this. That's what he's doing. That's how he's portraying himself.
And when you found out that he doesn't have a license, what was your thought?
Oh, it hurted because I've been doing my own investigation for 3 months. And once I posted the video on TikTok, everybody just came forward. And once I started looking into it myself and found out his name is not Major, he's not nothing what he said he was, and everybody started saying the same thing, it all made sense. It hurted me. I don't know. I cried. I can't believe it. And I just feel like if justice not served, then we've been failed. Everybody that's hurting.
And you still haven't gotten your money back?
No, we ain't got no money, no nothing. The insurance company told me they paid him 3 days before the funeral. So he already had been paid. So it's no money. We didn't get anything. We don't got nothing.
Thank you.
Miss Brown? Miss Brown?
Who is Miss Brown?
Miss Diana Brown, the owner.
She know what he doing.
Yes, ma'am. If you could just tell us your name, please.
My name is Salita Devereaux, and what I had to endure with Mr. Majors was he had me and my son and 2 more people come out to see my son's body after 9 p.m. in a not so safe neighborhood in a church. When me and my son, when we stepped to the steps and the doors were open, this smell just hit us. And when I walked in and I looked at my son, his body was bloated. He was dark. I was able to look under the glasses and I could see what he said was the wax. He made no attempts to reconstruct my son. And I told him, I said, you did not embalm my son's body because it shouldn't have been bloated. It had odor. He would not let us see my son until we gave him more money. And he continued to tell us, we're losing him, we're losing him. If you embalmed him, we shouldn't be losing him. And once we got there and we viewed my son's body, it was clear that, and with that smell, I had to run out the church because I couldn't deal with the smell. And my son, he was speechless. My son did not say a word for 2 hours. And after that, the excuse was, the smell was because of open wounds. Why should he have open wounds when those were supposed to be taken care of? And when I spoke to him a few days ago, and I mentioned it to him again, what did you do? He said, oh, that was the smell in the church. If I take you there right now, it still smells like that. And the worst too, and he also, I'd say 9 times out of 10, my son's body was not in the casket at his funeral. It was not in it. And now I'm hoping that these ashes that he gave me that I'm wearing, I'm hoping that they are my son's ashes. Now I have to figure out if I have the correct ashes.
Thank you.
So as you can hear these victim stories, we know there are other victims out there as well. We want you to contact the Precinct 1 Constable's Office Investigations Division. Lieutenant Haran is the lead investigator on this case. We do want to hear from you. We do want to honor the memory of those that have been lost and those families that have been left behind to face all this tragedy. And so I can promise you this office will always be about victims, and behind me are victims. And we're going to see to it that they get justice. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have any questions of anybody behind me, we're happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Constable.
How did you get involved? How did you find out?
The Texas Funeral Commission Service contacted us locally, and the Texas Rangers. We worked collaboratively with them on this case. A lot of it happened in Houston, Harris County, so we had to do everything we could to investigate it. I mean, it came to us, and to hear the stories that are happening behind us, it had to be investigated. We had to get to the bottom of who was doing this stuff and charge them.
Have you ever heard of something like this before? Have you done
No, we haven't. We have not done a case like this. This is a unique case, and we know there are other victims out there, but this is a very unique case. I mean, somebody taking advantage of people at their most vulnerable time when they've lost a loved one and they're emotionally distraught, and now you have somebody that's preying on them, is just something that we can't as a society let that happen. And we're not going to let it happen. So it took us a while to catch Javon Major. He was hiding out pretty good, but we're not going to let this happen.
When he was arrested, what was being said, or how did you go about that? Can you give us some details on how?
Yeah, I mean, when he was arrested, he kept calling and saying to our investigators, "Oh, I'm going to turn myself in. I'm going to turn myself in, and I'm going to turn myself." Same con that he's conned these great people behind me. And so I'm in Atlanta. I'm out of town. I'll be back Tuesday, and I'll turn myself in. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. We had to go through a lot of measures to capture him. So at the end of the day, this is a case, again, that took 8 months, and it took a lot of man hours to do, but we have to honor the memory of those deceased. We have to honor these people behind me. They deserve nothing less. They really don't. Any other questions? Have you heard of this?
This is the first time
Yeah, me too. Us too. Us
It
too.
sounds like cons from what you hear in old westerns and stuff. This is like movie type.
Yeah.
It was a movie.
He must be talented, though. The way his marketing is
And
going.
he's gonna give you stuff free. He'll say,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a carrot, or I'm gonna give you dough, or I'm gonna give you this.
multiple.
Would you want to tell us that story?
Yeah.
About the,
He tells you that he's gonna give you stuff free, and when you in a vulnerable moment, you're just trying to bury your loved one. So he'll tell you that I'm going to give you some doves, I'm going to give you the carriage, or don't worry about it. Don't come out to the family care mortuary funeral. I'm going to come to your house. I never, ever went to family care mortuary because the way he comforted me, I was comfortable with him. I never thought that he would scare me like he did. So we never went out there until after I buried my son. Then I went to go see the owner, Miss Diana Brown. She was the one that acknowledged that he worked for him, but I did not know he was the funeral home director. Until later on, to me, Miss Tiffany, we all got to doing our homework, working with Miss Rodriguez from the funeral home director, Mr. Chris. We all started doing our homework, and we all started finding out. We all started connecting with one another. And that's how we found out. It's so many people. I know a young lady right now, her son got buried on the 30th. She don't know where her son at. They told her he's way in Hitchcock, Texas. She's trying to figure out where he's at this moment. So can you imagine how she feels? The mother don't know where her son is, and he knows where he is. He knows it because he's the only one that came to pick the body up after he was 30 minutes late for picking the body up. And then on top of that, he doesn't have official website. It's not with Miss Brown. He has an underweb. When you go to YouTube, Instagram, all that, you would never see him on an official website. When I went to church, they say, "Are you sure you're funeral home director? Because we don't see him on an official website." Nobody thinks to look at that.
Nobody would know to look at that.
Yeah, Miss Brown is fully aware of everything Mr. Major is doing. Family care mortuary, she knows.
He would also videotape himself at a funeral that he wasn't doing, but he used that video as marketing material to do it. So.
My son was buried in Houston Memorial Garden, and to find out that all these people are going through what they're going through, now I'm scared. My anxiety is up because I don't know if I have to go and get my baby up out the ground because I don't know if he buried him right. And that's not right. It's not right. My son got killed, and for him to come and take advantage of us, that's not right. So somebody, whoever it is, while y'all trying to hide and let him make it, come out. Come out, because these are families that are hurting. He didn't care. He don't have a heart. Miss Diana, you're hiding behind him, but y'all in coherent together, baby. So everybody need to come forward. Come on. We got to get it stopped. What's the next thing he going to do? They going to let him out and he going to go do it to somebody else? If he did it to us, he'll do it to anybody. He done did it too many times, and now it done caught up with him because we stood up for it. If anybody else didn't stand up, he would have still been doing it. But we got to stop him.
And he just did it again this week.
He's making it bad for all the funeral homes.
So the thing is that he's not only doing funeral scams, he's also doing transportation scams. He's also doing church scams. So he advised us that the pastor where we was having the church, where he provided the church but didn't go through with it, Pastor Hayes, he said he was a part of the board director. He was a board director of the church. So we like, okay. When I say this man is a good talker, he can talk you down, okay? Right. So we thought that, but then, okay, I did a post. Then it's another scam. He was doing sprinter scams, party buses for little kids. This guy said he had his daughter, she was turning 10. He had 10 of her friends. The party bus never showed up. The little girls was crying. Like, this is a sick human being. Like, how do you do this to people? But I'm not going to lie. He quick with his words. He know how to talk yourself out of some stuff. Because my aunt was like, no, something's not right. I think he's a scam. I'm like, no, we have a recording with this man saying, no, Miss Hall, I promise you, I'm a part of the board director of the church. Pastor Hayes know me. I just got off the phone with him every single time. I just left Pastor Hayes. Pastor Hayes never heard of him. Yeah, like, but how would we have known, you know? So,
and then he's also taking the funeral homes, other funeral homes, and using them as his marketing product too, because he took Eternal Rest Funeral Home. How we came to know that he was a scam is because the funeral home director contacted me personally with the pastor on the phone. And that's how all of this with our family became unraveled. And this is unbelievable. I have never heard of anybody doing this, but this man needs to be buried under the jail. He needs, it's sickening that you could take advantage of a person when they have lost their loved ones. This is wild.
And it's not just him by himself.
He's not by himself. He's doing it with some other people.
Any other questions? Sir? Yeah, he's being charged. Sure, he's being charged. Okay, both suspects have prior criminal histories, extensive criminal histories. He's being charged with a felony, and forgery, and these cases tend to build after news media coverage. So there'll be other people that come forward that there most probably will be additional charges levied against him, so or her. So we wanted to get this out again because we know there are other victims, and we want you to contact us. We want to work those cases, and again, we are saddened for these victims behind me and these families behind me, and I know there are more families out there. Let's bring justice to those families and those that were deceased.
At the time you say 15 families contact you?
50. Yeah.
And that's what we know about.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot more people. I mean, these people are
contacted me.
5 different families that are behind us here, and so it sounds like he was pretty
Yeah, because he's
active.
taking my son's obituary and going around. That's how he's getting his business. A lady, he's promoting out for my son's obituary funeral. A lady way in Las Vegas has my son obituary. I don't know how she
The
did it.
day that they had their funeral, he came to my house and gave me their obituary the same day.
Thank y'all for having the courage.
Any other questions? Are we good?
I think we're good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. God
You
bless
guys
you.
want to talk to him more, you can.
There's a long-standing myth that print-on-demand companies only sell t-shirts. So, if you're hesitant to partner with an on-demand fulfillment company, we hear and understand you. However, this myth does not align with the current reality of print-on-demand industry. In fact, in the past few years, on-demand fulfillment companies have significantly expanded their product catalog.